Have you ever worried about the impact of flood zones and insurance costs on the purchase of your dream home here in Cape Coral? Today I'm diving into everything you need to know about flood zones, flood insurance costs, and how they're going to affect you. Now, if you're a prospective home buyer, stick around, you won't want to miss this. Welcome aboard, I'm Cessna, your Cape Coral real estate agent, and I aim to be a resource for you. Now, if you'd like to know anything else about buying, selling, relocating, or investing here in Cape Coral, feel free to contact me. I even have a link in the description for you to schedule a chat through Zoom if you like. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Cape Coral, with its extensive canal system and proximity to the Gulf of Mexico, naturally arises questions about flood zones and insurance costs. Are the concerns as dire as they seem, or is there more to the story? Want to know your flood zone, or if the home that you have an eye on is in a flood zone? Stick around and I'll show you how to locate your flood zone on FEMA's website. Let's break down the FEMA flood zones and what they mean for you. Okay, first things first, did you know that Cape Coral has had only 4 hurricanes pass within 40 miles of us in the last 67 years since Cape Coral became a city? In 1960, Hurricane Donna swept by to the east, causing minimal damage and sparing Cape Coral. In 2004, Hurricane Charley passed to the west. While Cape Coral escaped significant harm, our neighbors to the north in Punta Gorda took the brunt of the damage. In 2017, Hurricane Irma, positioned to our east, inflicted minimal damage on Cape Coral and fortunately avoided bringing storm surge. Now in 2022, Hurricane Ian made landfall just north of Cape Coral, unleashing heavy storm surge, wind damage, and flooding. It was the most severe hurricane in our city's history, causing damage to thousands of properties. Through these challenges, Cape Coral has demonstrated remarkable resilience. Homes have been renovated, new roofs installed, and the city is experiencing renewed growth. Each storm has fortified our community spirit and commitment to rebuilding stronger. Cape Coral thrives, embodying the indomitable spirit of its residents. Next, let's dive into flood zones. FEMA flood zones are mapped by the Federal Emergency Management Agency to assess flood risk. The critical zones to be aware of are zones AE and zones VE, which indicate higher flood risk. Zone AE is a 100-year floodplain, meaning there's a 1% annual chance of flooding, while zone VE is a 100-year coastal floodplain with the same risk but along the coast. Now, if you have a mortgage and live in these zones, flood insurance is mandatory. But even without a mortgage, it's wise to have flood insurance due to the elevated risk. For those in zone X500, you're in a 500-year floodplain with a 0.2% annual chance of flooding, or once in every 500 years. Zone X is outside the special flood zone area. Now, in both of these areas, flood insurance isn't required, but it's often chosen for peace of mind and carries a lower cost due to less risk. Now, if you believe your home's flood zone designation is incorrect, you can request an elevation survey and potentially challenge FEMA's classification. However, success can vary, so weigh the costs and benefits carefully. It's essential to have accurate information about your property's elevation and risk factors when challenging a flood zone designation. So what determines the cost of insurance? Flood and homeowner insurance costs depend on many things, including property elevation, flood zone designation, and home age. Features like impact windows, hurricane shutters, and recent upgrades can also influence costs. For instance, homes with newer roofs, updated plumbing, and modern electrical systems typically receive better insurance rates. During the due diligence period, an inspector will provide a 4-point inspection, which you provide to your insurance company to get accurate insurance quotes. It's also wise to get multiple insurance quotes to ensure you're getting the best possible rate. Remember, homeowners insurance typically does not cover flooding. It does cover hurricane wind damage, usually with a separate deductible. Ensure your insurance agent explains the specifics. Now, even if you're not required to have flood insurance, understanding your risk and considering coverage is wise. Flood insurance provides peace of mind and financial protection against unexpected flooding, which can be invaluable in places like Cape Coral. It's important to note that newer homes are often built at higher elevations, with modern building standards reducing flood risk and insurance costs. Older homes, often with lower elevations, may have higher premiums, but updates like new roofs, windows, and other features can help lower the insurance costs. Now, additionally, new homes often come with impact-resistant features such as reinforced doors and impact windows, and special roof anchors which provide added protection and may lower your insurance premiums. Now, during the due diligence period, we work with the insurance companies to determine accurate flood and homeowner insurance costs before finalizing your purchase. Living on a canal means I automatically am required to have flood insurance, right? Not exactly. Many Gulf access and freshwater canal homes are in lower risk zones such as X and X500. not even requiring flood insurance. Another way to save money and overlooked are assumable insurance policies, allowing you to lock in lower rates. Now, assumable policies are particularly beneficial because they transfer the existing homeowner's flood insurance to you. You get their rate, potentially saving you hundreds of dollars. Always ask your real estate agent if the policy is assumable to potentially save money. The greatest challenge that you need to be aware of about a hurricane is the storm surge. And storm surge is a concern in Cape Coral, as highlighted by Hurricane Ian's impact. Understanding hurricane patterns and flood risk is crucial. For instance, hurricanes spin counterclockwise, meaning hurricanes passing east of Cape Coral, like Irma, cause minimal storm damage, while those facing west, like Ian, can push water into the city, causing flooding. The direction and strength of a hurricane significantly affect the extent of storm surge, so it's important to stay informed and prepared. It pays to be prepared. When hurricanes approach, heed local authorities' evacuation requests. Cape Coral has designated evacuation zones and routes. Proactive planning is essential. Now check the links in the description for your evacuation zone and the Lee County Family Emergency Plan that you'll have access to as well. Now, being prepared means having a family emergency plan, securing your home, and knowing where to go in case of evacuation. It's also crucial to have an emergency kit with essentials like water, food, medications, and important documents. All right, so how do you find your flood zone or the flood zone of the potential dream home that you're considering buying? In Cape Coral, coastal and low-lying areas are most likely to require flood insurance. Now let's look up how to see if your home or the home that you've been considering is in a flood zone. Click the link in the video description to access the FEMA flood zone map. It's going to bring you to this page right here. It's the FEMA Flood Map Service Center. And this is going to give us the insight and tell us exactly what flood zone the home that you may be looking at is located. Now, if a home is located in a flood zone, I wouldn't advise just to simply walk away, but you just need to understand what's involved with that. You may have to have flood insurance, which would have a higher premium, and you also do run the risk of a potential flood should you have storm surge during a hurricane. First thing you're going to do is put the address right here. Now, this home is currently for sale here in the city of Cape Coral. Going to hit that search button, and it's going to bring up the flood map. Here it is right down here. And just to give you some insight of where we're located at right here. Right here is the intersection of Veterans and Del Prado. And here the shaded blue is the zone AE. Now this area does require flood insurance if you have a mortgage. Even if you don't have a mortgage, it's highly advisable that you do carry flood insurance in these areas. The orange area is the X500 area. In these areas, you do not need to have flood insurance if you have a mortgage. However, you can still buy flood insurance if you are concerned about that, and it comes at a lower price point due to less risk. Now, what I want to point out to you here is all this blue here. Now, this is the canal system. These are Gulf access canals, and you'll see we have houses right along the Gulf access canals that do not require flood insurance because they're built at a high enough elevation. It's not a concern. Something to keep in mind, and I want to point out, is even though a house is not completely in the blue, so you can see this house here is a little bit in orange and then a little bit in blue, that's still going to require flood insurance by the mortgage company because there is a part of it in the flood zone. Now, these houses, if they look like they're in or out, or you're just not 100% sure, you're always going to want to consult with an insurance agent prior to closing on that property. That's going to be done during the due diligence period in order to make sure that you know exactly what to expect once you close on the property. Now, once you zoom out a little far on this, it is going to take away the flood zone maps completely, and then you have to zoom back in. As we go further north and we zoom in, what you're going to see is there are not any flood zones in this area in the north. So if there aren't any shaded colors, blue or orange, that's completely out of a flood zone. That would be considered flood zone X, which is not a special flood zone area. So there are plenty of areas in Cape Coral that do not have flood zones. However, many of the coastal areas, such as the Burnt Store Road area here, is in an AE flood zone. One thing you'll notice is the orange as they build the newer houses. These newer houses are built at higher elevations, therefore not requiring flood insurance. Now, I hope this information helped you. Anytime you're looking at a property and you're not sure if it's in a flood zone or not, this is the quickest and easiest way to find out. Knowing your flood zone is the first step in understanding your flood risk and making informed decisions about insurance and property investments. Always consult with your realtor and insurance agent to fully understand your flood risk and insurance requirements, as they can vary greatly from house to house. As your realtor, I can provide valuable insights into the local market, while your insurance agent can help you find the best policies to protect your home. I'm Cessna, your Cape Coral real estate agent. And if you have any questions about flood zones, insurance, or anything related to buying or selling a home here in Cape Coral, feel free to contact me. If you found this information useful, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more insightful Cape Coral information. Making realty dreams a reality here in the beautiful city of Cape Coral.